We clapped, we clanged and we banged for them as they risked their lives for us working on the COVID wards in grossly inadequate PPE. 2 years on, and for the first time in history, tens of thousands of nurses are on the picket line striking over pay. Royal College of Nursing boss said that she was truly sorry for taking the strike action. Well, joining me now is Jenny McGee, who's the intensive care nurse who looked after and helped save the life of our former Prime Minister Boris Johnson when he was admitted to ICU with COVID-19. Jenny, it's great to see you. I remember, obviously, what happened, and it was an extraordinary moment for the country as we all sort of waited, and you were part of a team which helped save him, and thank you for that. It was a great service you did the country. Now you're going on strike, in a way a protest against the Conservative government, whose leader at the time you helped save his life. Why are you going on strike? What does it mean so much to you that you feel you have to do this?
I think there's just a real concern for what's happening in our profession. We are terribly, terribly understaffed. We have 50,000 vacancies across this country, and we are seeing that on the wards. We're seeing that when we're working. We do not have enough nurses on our wards. We feel that nurses are leaving the profession in droves because...
And why are they leaving, do you think?
I think they're leaving because we've had enough. We have so much pressure and responsibilities put on our shoulders. We are busy every single shift. We can't give that care that we so desperately want to give. And we feel that we're underpaid. As I said, we have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders. We care very deeply about the patients that we look after, but we just want to be paid a fair wage.
I completely agree with you, and I would always support nurses up and down the country. I think you're a fantastic group of people. And I think there's a horrible hypocrisy for those who are out applauding you every Thursday as you were literally risking your lives and then now would oppose your right to a fair pay rise. I think that's ridiculous. The question is, I guess, how much in the end would constitute a fair rise? I don't think 19% pay rise for any people in the country right now are sustainable. And it sets a precedent for the other industries, obviously, as well. What do you think? I mean, inflation's running about 10% right now. What do you think would be a fair, reasonable final settlement?
I think personally, from my point of view, I think a pay rise which is fair in terms of inflation. So I think 19% is not out of the question because we have worked so incredibly hard throughout the pandemic and we have proved ourselves time and time again. But we just want something that we can live on that's in line with inflation. We're not asking for millions, we're just asking for a fair wage.
What does it do to you when you feel underpaid, undervalued, overworked, understaffed, under huge pressure?
Yeah.
What toll does that take on you as a human being?
Incredible toll, because all we really want to do is give wonderful care to the patients that we're looking after. That's what we're in the profession to do. That's why we're nurses. We want to look after people. We want to make them better. And when you have all these external things coming in and interfering with that, it's demoralising. It's so tough. And I quit my job a year or two ago because of all those pressures that I had on me. I felt I couldn't do it anymore here in the UK and I needed a break, and that's what's happening to many, many nurses.
And what made you come back?
Well, I have a life here in London, so I took a break and I went abroad for a year. I went home to New Zealand, spent lots of time with my family, but I have a life here. You know...
Now you work in various hospitals.
Well, yeah.
As an ICU nurse.
In intensive care, but I don't have a permanent job. I pick up work day to day, so I have control over when I want to work.
Do you feel any qualms about striking? It's the first time nurses have gone on strike. Obviously, you deal with people's lives. Yeah. Do you feel qualms about doing this on the morality side of it?
I mean, we haven't gone into this with no thought. The strike days were planned, and a lot of thought went into how we were going to strike. In the hospitals, we still had intensive care staffed, emergencies. So a lot of thought went into how we were going to do it. I think it was necessary. We need people to take note.
Well, I think the NHS is creaking at the seams, and the only people propping it up are people like you. And I thank you for your service. I think it's amazing, the job that you do.
Thank you.
And you were brought into public attention by what happened with Boris Johnson, but actually you do that every day when you're in the hospital, in the ICU units, saving all sorts of people, most of whom are not leaders of countries. So thank you, and I hope that you get the pay rise you deserve. I want to bring in now another nurse. We're going to call her Anna. She wants to remain anonymous. We're not going to say where she is a nurse, but she's an experienced NHS nurse who has reservations about these strikes, doesn't feel comfortable. So we're going to call you Anna. Anna, tell me why you don't agree with this, with the strikes.
Hi, sir. Well, me, I don't agree with the strike as such. I mean, everybody can go on strike, right, and demand whatever they want. But I think the demand is for the fair pay. What exactly is fair? How we're going to define fair? And every time the inflation will change, and are we going to go on strike every time? That's endless. And I think instead of striking about our pay, we should ask to stop the waste of money in NHS, and then we would have the money for all the pay rise and for everything else we need. This is where I think we should be focusing on. Not
yeah, I mean, I do think, if I was a nurse right now, I'd be looking at all the money that was squandered on PPE that didn't work, testing systems that didn't work, contracts to companies left, right and centre, all of whom made fortunes out of stuff that just didn't work in the pandemic. And I'd be thinking, well, we found the money for all that suddenly when we had to. Where is that money actually for the people who are in the coalface every day?
Well, exactly. And also, what is the accountability of the wastage of the money? Who orders certain things? And before pandemic, what about wastage of medication? How many times patient is prescribed medication and given a full dose for a certain amount of time and actually stopped in the middle, and the medication is being wasted? It doesn't go anywhere, and thousands of pounds is being just thrown away. What about other things? I don't know, sticker, posters. When you're walking on the ward, you can see thousands of pounds being just flushed down the toilet.
It must be. It must be enraging.
I tell you,
Anna, what I also feel strongly about. I absolutely despise the fact that nurses in this country and doctors still have to pay for parking outside hospitals. I think it's a complete and utter disgrace that you go in to save people's lives and we charge you for the honour of parking outside the hospitals. It is a total disgrace that shames this country. I've got to leave it there. Anna, thank you for calling in. Keep up the great work. I know that you all basically, I think, share the concerns. It's really about how you get to where you want to get to, which is to be valued properly. So I thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you again, Jenny. I appreciate it.